here for another installment of the Curator's Corner with Jim Sapika, the director of the National Firearms Museum, right here at NRA headquarters. And Jim, we started last week with Revolving Rifles Part 1. I love this segment, so let's get right back into it with Revolving Rifles Part 2. We're seeing the evolution of the revolving rifle.
That's right, and last segment we talked about percussion revolving rifles and a number of models, one successful, several unsuccessful. But of course, in that period at the end of the Civil War and immediately following the Civil War, there was that evolutionary leap from the powder and ball and percussion cap to the self-contained cartridge. And so this week we're going to look at some of the revolving long arms that use self-contained cartridges.
In any firearm or a long arm, that's a huge evolutionary step in the state of firearms.
It really is. And we're going to start with a shotgun that was revolutionary in a number of its innovations. This is the Roper revolving shotgun. And again, this was in an era when shotguns were single barrel or double barrel. The break open design was just coming in with the introduction of shot shells. This was about 1867, the end of the Civil War era. But what Roper came up with was a revolving shotgun and an interesting system of operating. Now there's a dust cover type hatch here that we're going to open, and we're going to look into the action. And I'm going to work the action of this, and it's a revolver type action. It's worked by cocking the hammer all the way back, and we'll see why that's so long here in a minute, and then pulling the trigger to release and fire it. But let's look at what happens on the inside when we do that. Now you watch, a chamber will rotate around that would have a shot shell, a 16 gauge shot shell, and put it into position.
Jeez.
Okay, it's in position now. The shot shell is laying there. Now what happens is, the hammer doesn't just fall forward and fire the shell. What the hammer does is it pushes the shell into the breech of the barrel and then fires it all with one action. So when we pull the hammer, you'll see the mechanism push the shell forward into the rear of the barrel, and then when it's there, it fires it. So it was really an innovative design. This was, in effect, the first effective repeating shotgun for a self-contained cartridge. The next one would be the Spencer pump shotgun that came along, followed by the Winchester model 1893 and 1897s that are familiar to so many people. But this was 30 years before those, and he was thinking of a number of things. One thing that he did here, we talked about a problem with revolving firearms, and that is that the blow-by of burning powder and lead particles from the cylinder gap peppers the offhand. What he did here was he contains that within a shield there, so that does not become a problem for this revolving shotgun. Now, it never really caught on. That went into production and they were offered on the market, but it wasn't a big seller. But it had a number of very innovative concepts for the time, and a big one being the repeating shotgun.
Wow, first of its kind.
Yeah, well, once you've got revolvers coming into common use, the idea of stretching them into a long gun comes along. I'm going to show you a couple. We're not really sure what they are. They're both marked with a serial number 1.
Jim, there's about my favorites when we say we don't know what they are.
Yeah, I love this. This has a lot of the look of the Pieper revolver, and we think that may be what it is. It may be a prototype for that. No maker's mark on it, and there were some revolving rifles very similar to this produced for use. But it's just a straight double action design where you just pull it back and fire it, and has the revolving cylinder. This is about an 8mm rifle, so it's the revolving rifle concept. And
now, how does something like that come to the museum?
Well, that one came out of my collection.
Oh, okay.
But the vast majority of guns here at the museum are donated by individuals. So this, over many, many decades, the 5,000 firearms that we have in the museum have been donated by people. So this really is the warehouse of America's firearms treasures. They've come from all over the country, from hundreds and hundreds of different people, one gun at a time or 500 guns at a time. But
the amazing thing, being here at the museum, just like yourself, there's other people who have some firearms that have been donated, some that are on loan. It's just a wonderful, collection of firearms out there you really don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, very true.
It's amazing.
Very
What do we have
true.
next?
I don't know what it is, but it is a 410 gauge revolving shotgun. It's double action only. It's entirely enclosed on the back. It's got a 6-chamber cylinder, chambered for 410s. Somebody stamped A. Stover #1 on the top. We have no idea what that means. This may just be an individual gunsmith who had a winter full of insomnia and didn't have anything better to do with his time. But at some point, somebody decided they really needed a double action only 410 revolving shotgun. There it is.
Everyone needs one.
Yeah, they do. Now this next one is from a major manufacturer. Just like Colt had the percussion revolving rifles, Smith & Wesson had an incredibly successful revolver. The new model #3, introduced in 1878. And this was an accurate, effective gun, a sturdy gun, very popular in the West. A number of different militaries adapted it. Was used for most of the target shooters of the time, considered probably the most accurate revolver of their era. They had a good product. They figured, why not lengthen the barrel and put on a detachable shoulder stock and make it into a revolving rifle? And so that is exactly what they did. This is the Smith & Wesson revolving rifle. It takes a unique cartridge, the 320 revolving rifle. It's basically the new model #3 frame with a barrel that they made it in 16, 18, and 20-inch lengths. Has a little gutta-percha sliver fore-end there, but again, you're going to sprinkle your hands. So this would, you'd either wear a gauntlet for this, or you would hold it like that when you shot it. It has a detachable shoulder stock. Smith & Wesson made detachable shoulder stocks for a number of their top break revolvers. And this one is the same design as the others, but it detaches very easily for shipping, for packing, for storage. I don't know who would want to carry this as a pistol. Kind of looks like the Joker's gun in the old Batman movie like this, doesn't
Definitely
it?
not concealable firearm there.
Exactly. But this has a peep tang sight on it. It has a very nifty little crosshair globe front sight on it. It was not incredibly successful for Smith & Wesson. They made fewer than 1,000 of these, and once again proved that there is not a real steady market for a revolving rifle that's going to sting your hand every time you shoot it. But it's a neat gun.
Of all these we've seen in both these segments, these were not firearms for the faint of heart, either to work the action or to fire them. You got to be a tough guy. There's a lot of tough guys back then.
That's right.
Pretty amazing.
So,
and it's a beautiful on the right here.
It's a modeled product. It's kind of a synthetic plastic-like product. The grips age differently, but the grips are the same modeled orange and brown gutta-percha material, and that's typical of the Smith & Wesson revolving rifle.
And so many, and it's kind of adds a nice elegance to it.
It does. Yeah, I think it's classy.
Yeah.
Not very practical, but a
lot of fun.
There you got it. You got it.
Jim, tell us how we can see these. Best place to see these, let's be honest, is right here.
Come
in
to
person.
the museum. We got.
There's something about coming in here, seeing them, smelling. You get to take in the whole thing. But we can see it both ways, right?
Yeah. Come to the museum. It's open every day of the week, 9:30 to 5 most days. We're open late till 7 on Saturdays. We're only closed on major holidays. Get by if you can. It's at the NRA headquarters building in Fairfax, Virginia. We've got a great website that's in the process of being developed. We've launched phase 1 of it. It's nationalfirearmsmuseum.org, not .com, .org. And eventually, probably starting around January 2010, we will have all of the guns that are on display in the museum available with a click of the mouse at the museum webpage, with a lot of other fascinating information and videos and great material that's going up on that. So this is a huge leap forward for us in terms of the website, projecting the museum outside the walls. If you're coming to the museum, go to the website first to see what you want to see when you get here.
That's right. Put together a playbook when you get
That's
in here, because let me tell you, you need it in here. I still come in here, Jim, and see firearms I haven't seen before. I've never seen that one before.
Don't tell anyone else, but you and me both.
Yeah, thank you. Jim Sapika, Director of the National Firearms Museum, thank you for this great look at revolving rifles here on the Curator's Corner.
Thanks, John.